Good. So, welcome again to yet another episode of the People, Passion, and Purpose podcast. We meet people, and sometimes, the meeting is a little distant, more than distant. It sort of happened that a lot of things had to happen that me and Sahil met. Sahil is also an author. Sahil is also a life coach. A lot of similarities happened, and so this podcast is taking shape here. So welcome, Sahil, from all the way from Vadodara. So we are catching up from different states, but in basically with a lot of similarities between whatever we're doing. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you for having
Awesome.
me here.
It's it's been about 78 episodes, and we've had people from all over the world share, jump in, bring their personal stories, share whatever has been their experiences with life. And the idea is to hopefully inspire one person from each podcast. I think it's a very easy goal to sort of work with. But once somebody's inspired, that sort of a catapult effect will happen. And
True.
I've got an inspiring personality with me here. You are a writer, you are a coach, you have beautiful life experiences. So, any life experience that you would like to share with us that has been a significant impact on your life so far?
Uh, so there are many experiences that I can share.
No, you can also share
So
more
I'll
than one.
just I'll give a brief introduction about myself. I'm basically an author, researcher, and a life coach. I'm also a martial artist, a yogi, and a healer. And I'm based out of Vadodara, and I do online sessions, offline sessions. This is basically what I do. So I've written a couple of books, out of which these two books are so-called best-selling: Life the View Design Part 1 and Part 2. So part 1 is the designer, part 2 is the method. Part 1 is both the books are amalgamation of our ancient sciences of Yoga, Tantra, and Vedanta and modern sciences of physiology and psychology, and basically guides how we can design our own life. What are the practical aspects? What is the process? Part 1 is basically the designer. So, what it tells is the tools that we use in designing our life, that is our body, energies, and mind. It is based on that. And part two is the method. So the fundamental aspect of life is desire, through which everything is created. It goes mostly on that part. So in simple language, if I have to explain, then if you have certain challenges to overcome in your life, then I think you should read part one. And if you have certain goals to achieve in your life, then part two is will be your go-to book. So this is my brief introduction, and there are many experiences. Uh, Recently, I've been to Haridwar. It was a wonderful experience, and so this is basically it.
Hmm. Interesting. So you said martial artist, yogi, a life coach, author. And I'm sure there are more aspects of interesting stuff. Uh, what inspired you to bring the ancient sciences with India and say psychology to an amalgamation?
amalgamation. So I started out in 2009, late 2008, early 2009. So I started my career as an IT consultant. Back then, we used to consult companies on their website development, software development, and stuff like that. So during that phase, I was into uh, modern psychology. I used to study a lot, uh, various self-development principles. I used to go to various coaches, various counselors, psychologists to understand the fundamentals of human mind and how I can basically use it in my business to expand it. And many of the stuff was very much helpful, no doubt about it. But then around 2015, 14, 15, uh, a certain shift started coming into my life, basically. But then I came to know about the ancient wisdom of our this ancient yoga shastras. So I was a martial artist, I was a yogi, and I was very much into physical activities from a very early on in my life. So I started yoga probably when I was 10 or 12 years old, but they were basically all physical asanas and breathing exercises. So small stuff I learned from here and there. This is how I started yoga. But during 14, 15, I understood that what we understand as yoga is completely different. So as of now, uh, there is a very famous quote called as Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. This is a famous Hatha yogic quote. This quote itself tells a lot about uh, our principles of life, the life coaching process that we do, the training process that we do, and also it tells us about how uh, rich our ancient wisdom is. So during 14, 15, when I came to know about all this different shastra and started studying them, researching about them, then slowly shift started coming in. I also came to know that there are many Western philosophers, many Western researchers, many Western scientists who study our ancient shastras, different shastras like Upanishads, Yog Darshan, Sankhya Darshan, Nyaya Vaisheshik. These are different philosophical schools of our India. We can say schools of thoughts. The way to look at life are different in this different schools. So basically, I shifted to our ancient wisdom a lot. And because I had little knowledge about modern psychology and physiology, I had developed a lens, so to say, and through that lens, I studied all our shastras. So, in my experience, Sunil, uh, the way we are educated, we are mostly educated in a Western-based system. So now suddenly, if one of us will go into studying ancient Shastra, let's say, for example, Bhagavad Gita, because it is very famous. There are a number of Shastras that we can study. But when we go there, then there is a very significant gap, the way I see it. Because we have a different terminology, we have a different way of looking at life. And the Shastras, their terminology is completely different because most of them are thousands of years old. So during that time, the thinking process was different. The
Absolutely.
way of looking at life was different. So there is a strong gap between today's education system and the our ancient Shastra. So what
Hmm.
I have tried to do is in my coaching program and even the books that I write, articles that I write, is to close that gap. So how the wisdom of those ancient Shastras can be practically applicable in today's life and can help us out to overcome challenges in life and achieve our goals.
So this gaps that you mentioned, actually, yeah, I think it's like a wisdom is there, but I think our way of accessing it, our way of reading it, has been strongly influenced by how the West has shared. So even when we say guru, who do we call as a guru? There's difference between acharya, guru, pandit.
Yeah,
There's
yes.
so many levels to each of those learning aspects that.
Mhm.
Say when you look at it, English, it's encapsulated is in one word, right? It's a teacher.
Mm.
So there are so many such layered learnings that only possibly somebody with that learning experience or that particular knowledge can have. So
Exactly.
that makes a whole lot of difference, and it's amazing that you've started on this journey to make it relevant, accessible, and easy for people to understand that this is how it is to be read and this is how it is to be known.
Mm.
Makes for a fantastic avenue because the world is moving to a place where I think the Eastern philosophy and the Eastern space of life is making a comeback.
Yeah, true. True.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, what's about coaching do you find the most inspiring?
Well, the best part of the coaching is that it helps you grow as an individual.
Mm.
So I think that is the best part. That when you coach someone a specific aspect, you also get better into that aspect. So you can like It is very important to walk the talk. I think that is very essential. But when you teach, when you coach, that particular principle gets more clear in your head. I think that is the best part of coaching. And
Absolutely.
uh, on the top of it, you are getting paid for it.
Yeah, I think the value that listening to somebody or having someone listen to you, I think that that value is cannot be measured in words.
Mm.
When a coach or when a guru basically takes that place, it is a huge shift alongside. And like you said, sometimes even when I take on a different methodology of coaching, and
Mm.
sometimes the client is answering a question for themselves. Sometimes even I am asking, saying, "Hey, where am I with this?" There's a parallel side or a post-session debrief when I'm doing it with myself. So I'm like, have I answered this question for myself that I so
Mm.
easily asked somebody else? So there's also personal transformation alongside with the client's transformation happening. So
Exactly.
it's a beautiful, beautiful space. So, I think because we are recording this on Children's Day, so any special memories of being a kid that you have?
Being a kid,
Mm.
yeah. So, yeah, there are many instances of childhood, but because it is a Children's Day, I started my so-called professional coaching career with kids.
Mm. Okay.
So I started as a yoga coach and a martial artist coach.
Mm.
So just a second, am I audible?
You're audible, but I think the video is
Cracking, just a second. Is it fine now?
actually 90 degrees. Ah, now it's like,
No, no, it's fine. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So I started my fully professional career as a coach with kids. So I started as a yoga coach and a martial artist coach. So the experiences with kids is very amazing, especially when you are coaching them. There are so many things that you can learn uh, because kids are, they are not yet fully developed. So one very essential principle that I observed was that while coaching kids was that kids will always follow what you do, and they will they will never consider what you say. Very first thing that they will do is they will follow what you do. So to explain this
Absolutely.
example, when we are working with kids who are 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, at this age they are not yet clear about what is right and what is left. They are yet establishing that fact. So let's say if you are guiding a kid who is 5, 6 years old and you are telling him to put your right leg forward, but if your right leg is forward and you are standing in front of the kid,
It
then
becomes
what
a
is
left
happening
here.
is, yeah, they will put the left leg forward. So they are exactly mirroring you. And then it doesn't matter how much you tell them, how much you explain them what to do, what not to do. But if you are putting your specific leg forward, they will ditto follow you. They will mirror you exactly. And this principle, if we look at in our coaching business also, in our training uh, business also, and even with the grown-ups, because each and every individual, it doesn't matter what age he or she is in, every one of us has that small kid inside us. So that small kid always mirror us. So that particular principle I learned from kids.
It's a beautiful, share that kids will basically, follow or mimic,
Mirror everything.
mirror everything that you're doing and not necessarily whatever you're
Mm.
saying. So that also brings up, the way we bring kids at home. Bring up kids at home. So you're saying, you should stop at the red light, but you are the one who's first, jumping the red signal. They will basically, mirror that all through their journeys. And that will continue. So we also have this concept around the three ego states: the kid, the parent, and the child, and the adult.
Child, yes.
So
Adult.
it yeah, so it basically is whatever you have learned from the childhood, which we basically will be mirroring and mimicking somebody we look up to. So that sort of takes up most of our headspace, anyways. So that is a very beautiful observation, saying with kids this is how it works. Yeah, and I think also all of us have kids. All of us have a little kid inside us alive. So
Mm,
yeah. And I remember, specifically my fond memories with being a kid is basically playing a lot of cricket, and that was most
mhm.
of the day. Otherwise, school, cricket, and finish homework and have a lot of good food and close the day with it. That is how it sort of went. And yeah, I think also, because you said ancient wisdom, bringing it into this. So I had asked this.
Mm.
A question to another friend of mine, and they had a very interesting conversation after that. So, if you were to be a fictional character from any of the epics or any of the spiritual texts that we have, so we have a lot to choose from in India. Who would you be and why?
For me,
Who would you be as a character and
yeah.
why?
So in Mahabharat character, in Mahabharat, the entire series,
Hmm.
I like Krishna's character,
Krishna's character.
and
Okay.
I
Hmm.
and I strive. So if this is a question, then I would like to be like him. I strive to
Hmm.
be like him because of certain reasons. First, that it is said that uh, Shiva is Vishnu's guru, and Vishnu is Shiva's guru. So Vishnu is, so if you read Vishnu Puran, they will say that uh, praise Lord Shiva, uh, and Vishnu is Shiva's bhakt. And if you vice versa, if you read Shiv Puran, Shiv is Vishnu's bhakt. And I have a connection. Each and every person has connection with certain uh, entity, certain god, certain dev, whatever we can name it. So I have that connection with the Adi Dev Shiv. And Krishna is also a bhakt of Adi Dev Shiv. Also, I am a Hatha Yogi. I practice Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is Hatha Yoga, Tantra Yoga. It is Advait Darshan. So you don't see separate yourself as separate from your Ishtadev. You concentrate on your Ishtadev to an extent where your Ishtadev and you are not two separate entities. So I think I would more relate with Krishna.
Hmm. Awesome. That's like it's also a coaching question for a life coach, saying, hey, you know what? This question with anybody else, everybody else has possibly a different answer, and everybody accesses different parts of their memories to say, you know what, I'm this, and that always brings up fascinating answers. Why is it? Because now you also brought up this aspect of saying everybody, Advaita philosophy of both the god as well as the individual are connected, and then there is that the whole the part. Then it also brings about, you said Adi, and Adi also brings about Shunya. Shunya also brings about
Hmm.
infinity. So there are a lot of other ideas I am also getting, inspired by. So with that,
So
those are first. Hmm?
which character will you associate?
Oh no, uh, I would go with Hanuman from the Ramayana. I think that's my favorite character. It's been, I think, ever since a kid, I heard the Ramayana being shared at home. Hanuman has always had a fascination. I think my fascination always has been with the Sanjeevani Parvata story, and it's very late in, like very recently, about 2 3 months back, is when somebody told me that he actually goes back and puts the Sanjeevani back, and I hadn't heard
Okay.
of that story at all. So I thought, okay, it's a relocation of one mountain from India to Sri Lanka. But one of those places where somebody shared a story that it goes back. the Parvata goes back, which we haven't seen in or I haven't heard until now that this happens. So that was a very fascinating aspect, and I think the entire aspect of flying from one place to another, changing shapes. So there are a lot of fascination around Hanuman, and that has remained. So I don't think there is a reason for it, but my character would be that. And generally, I find myself in places where I happily help
Mhm.
people, saying I don't look forward to something from it, and just say okay, that's about it. So that has been that. And then also the whole aspect of the monkey guard, monkeys being foodies, you get to eat, fly, get travel everywhere around. So that's also has been a plus to that. So yeah, and it opens up conversations, like it's a question that opens up conversations.
True, true.
Yes. So I think also, like, as a podcaster, right? So we are always looking for interesting stories. And you brought up the whole aspect of Rishikesh, and then you stopped there. So what happened in Rishikesh? How do you sort of map it back to your life, coaching, etc.?
Yeah. So, very interesting incident happened in Haridwar.
Mm.
So, I was about to go to Rishikesh, but somehow the plan did got cancelled. So, I was in Haridwar. And in Yog Darshan, there is very important aspect, uh, and that practically happened over there. So, what happened was I was in an ashram. So, very first thing is that they in Haridwar they would give ashrams to single people. Okay, they will give ashram to, or they will give room to family, or if there are two friends, but they won't give it to single person. Okay,
Mm.
so yeah, so you do know about this?
No, I don't know. I think this is
Yeah,
information.
yeah, and most people will think, those who don't know, most people will think certain reasons why they don't give it to the single person, but the reason is completely different. The thing is that uh, there are a lot of cases over there that people go over there and do suicide in the ashrams or in the hotels over there. So they don't allow single people over there. Plus, police have also given specific instructions to each and every ashram that you don't give rooms to individuals, single people, and if you are giving, then it is your responsibility. So, the ashram where I was staying, that person told me that almost every week, one or two cases come over. So, somehow I got the room over there. So, I was staying there, and the next morning, I went to get a cup of tea. So, I was walking down in a lobby and I saw a group of people standing over there. So I guess that something is wrong. As I went closer, I saw that they all are standing outside a particular room and looking inside the room. So I guess that something is wrong with the room, and probably some small animal has might have entered the room, a rat or something. And the last night, I also saw a big rat crossing the street next to the ashram. So I guess that there must be a rat. So as I went closer, then I asked them what happened exactly. So they said that there is a snake inside the room.
Mm.
So I asked them where is it. So there was snake sitting small snake on the bed. So bed sheet was away from the bed, and on the bed there was a snake. So I asked them, so what next step have you taken? As a coach, I asked them. So what is the next step that have you taken? But they were all confused. They didn't have any idea what to do. So basically, in the hometown that we live, if snakes come up, you call certain NGOs or forest department, and they will come and rescue the snake. So they have no idea what to do. So I asked them that have you called someone? They said no, we don't know what to do. So I said okay, let me go inside and check what species or subspecies of the snake is. One of the person said that what will you do? He will run here, there, he will panic, the snake will panic. So I said, let me just check the species. So he said, it is cobra. I know, I was there, the person who was living in the room. So I said, just let me go and check. So as I entered the room, So first thing I observed that the skin of the snake was very different, something that I didn't saw before. So I have volunteered with many NGOs. I work with many NGOs in Vadodara, and I have rescued a couple of snakes. But it was long time ago, 10, 12 years. Now I'm not into rescuing snakes. So I observed that the skin is different, but there was a hood on the snake. So I went a bit closer. They were all standing outside the room. I went a bit closer to examine what exactly the species is. And I also observed the eyes of the snake were red. So it came to my mind that if the snake is dead or not. So I asked them that, did someone hit the snake? So the person who was living in the room was said that I cannot hit a snake. So nobody touched the snake. So then doubt came in my mind, and as I touched the snake, it was clear that that wasn't the real snake. It was a toy they are playing with. So I picked up the snake. I said that it is a toy, and suddenly the people outside the room they started laughing out at each other, and they got relieved. But this is a very essential concept, Sunil, in Yoga Darshan. So Yoga Darshan is a classical text. It is the entire text will come in A4 size paper. It is 196 or 197 sutras. One sutra is added in some of the text, and in that it is an entire storehouse of psychology, Yoga Darshan, and it is a concept comes which is there are five vrittis of the mind, five functions of the mind, chit vritti as they say. So one of them is viparya. Viparya is wrong information. So basically, the example they give is when a person uh, is walking in the dark and there is a rope in the street, and if that person misinterprets that uh, rope as a snake,
Rope as
that
a
is called
snake.
as
Hmm.
viparya. Yeah. So what happens is the example is that the person will stay there, will not move, will not go ahead on his route, on his journey, on his life, and will get stuck over there because he takes rope for snake. Okay, and this exactly what happens in our life if we look at it. Many times what happens is that we misinterpret situations. We don't see the reality as it is. And we all get stuck like those people outside the room, like the example that has been given in the Shastras. And only when we shed the light of knowledge, then we can know that it is not a snake, it is just a rope. And even if it is a snake, there are ways to deal with it. So this was the incident that happened over there. So basically, what happened was I was going there to give a talk. The talk was cancelled, and this experience happened. I took a bath in Ganga and came back. That is all happened. Otherwise, I would have never gone to Haridwar or Rishikesh. I specifically went there to talk. If talk wasn't there, then I don't know if I would have ever gone there. But that talk was cancelled.
I think interesting that life takes us on certain adventures, certain roads, and sometimes we don't know why it's come our way. Is there a significance to that? Sometimes things are revealed only at a later stage. This is
True,
exactly why it came along.
true.
And
And this
specifically because we love, we believe in that Eastern concept of, karma, things coming back. There's a larger picture to life. We never know why.
true, true, true. It
And
is
then
like you should have faith on yourself, on your journey, and if you have that connection, if you can follow your intuition, if if your instinct, intellect, and intuition are balanced and in harmony with each other, then I think life can turn out to be surprisingly
I think, I
beautiful at
think that
times.
surprise, yes, that surprise, yes. And sometimes, good surprises turn out to be bad surprises. Sometimes the bad surprises turn out in the long run to be the best one. And
Okay.
yeah, I think you can't measure it in the present. We'll have to just stay in the present. Like you went ahead, looked at it, okay, took a pause and say, did a logical analysis and said, oh no, it's a dummy snake. It's not. The data is not adding up. So there are so many such instances where
And
we
I,
just blindly go with stuff. And yeah, I
so
think a lot of
experience helps.
yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so experience helps. So I did work with the snakes before, so I had certain confidence because I know the behavior of the snake. Sometimes what people have idea about certain things that so for instance, people panic when they see snake because they have this fancy idea that snake will fly and bite them and it will get behind them, it will hunt them. So, because I've worked with the snakes, I know that that is not the behavior of the snakes. You can watch it from a distance, it won't panic right away. So, I did take the risk. So, yes, experience is a factor, curiosity is another factor, courage is another factor. So, yeah, so I'm working on my book, third physical book. Probably we will launch in next year in first quarter around January. And the title of the book is The Success Elements.
Success
Elements.
or success elements. So interesting.
Success elements. Yeah. So I think these are the elements: curiosity, courage, experience. And now
Hmm.
that I've got this idea, I will put it in my book. So this is the first time I'm declaring about the book, the title of the book publicly.
There, there's a reason. Sometimes some conversations happen. So good that you are putting up a new book. So third book, and then saying goes that your first two books sell better when your third book comes along. All the best for that.
Thank
So
you.
and book writing for me, I write books, but my genre is into mainly poetry. I never
Poetry.
ventured into say an experience book or a self-help book, vaguely put self-help book. So what inspired you to write the first two and the third one as well?
So the first book I wrote it during pandemic.
Hmm.
So before pandemic, I used to do sessions, and mostly my sessions were physical sessions. Online were very rare. And even though I'm from a computer background, I'm not that much tech savvy. Now I have to rely. After pandemic, everybody has to rely on that. So at that point of time, I decided that we should have another medium to make sure that people get the knowledge, get that support. So I thought of two things. That one is digital course, to create a digital course, and second is books. So digital courses that we've been working on, I have one or two courses on my website, and and during that phase, I decided to write the book. And the very first idea when it occurred to me that I should write a book was completely different topic. It was on temples. It was before pandemic,
Hmm.
but that particular topic needs a lot of research because I need data, facts, and figures. These are the self-help non-fiction books. These are basically what I do in my coaching programs. So it is easy for me. I have to just uh, turn the experience into words. Then in 2023, I released the second part.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
had the writing experience even in my IT company. I used to do a lot of writing uh, on different topics, articles, blogging, stuff like that.
Mhm. Interesting, interesting. So, you also brought up the topic of temple. So, what draws you to temple? What's the fascination there?
Temples. The temples are very powerful places, and it has a whole science behind it. So the way I've observed and what I've learned is that there is a whole science behind it. So if we have to briefly go over through it, there are five elements through which the entire universe is made. Everything that we know in universe is made out of this five fundamental elements. Okay, and you go anywhere in the world, you will find this five fundamental elements. Different cultures acknowledges the existence of the five elements, even in Western countries. So one is Prithvi, Jal, Agni, Vayu, Akash. Okay. So what are these elements basically? So Prithvi, we can say it is solid. Jal, as in something that is fluid. Fire is the temperature; it rises, stuff like that, thing like that. And Vayu is basically air. But what we can say is that when the solid materials at microscopic level are not so much condensed that they make a visible matter, then it can be considered as Vayu, air element. And then there is Akash. Akash, in a way, is that everything is shaped in a particular way. Everything has an Akar, right? So even we are doing this podcast either through laptop or cell phone. The cell phone, laptop, it has a specific shape. Everything is a specific
Mm.
shape. So that particular element is Akash. So five elements you will find everywhere. None of the element is in entirety alone. Every object has all the five elements. Depending upon which element is dominant, that particular thing is. So let's say if it is air here, so there are solid particles that make up the smell. There are water elements that make up the moisture, and temperature is there, and shape is also there. So all the five elements exist together, but because the air element is more, so it is air over. So in temples, all these five elements are channelized in a particular way that the atmosphere that is created over there is that when you go, this is my experience and my so-called research, that when you enter into the sphere of such powerful places, uh, your five elements are also getting affected by the environment over there. So let's say in a temple there are bells. They do so if it is a shavalai, they do specific processes, jal chadana and everything, and that is done at a particular uh, point, shivling. So the Prithvi element is there, and you see the each and every person is coming into the temple and focusing at specific point, at specific either murti or the shivling. So in collective consciousness, your focus is going at a specific object. Then there are sounds. There is jyot, diya is there. There is essence sticks. So the Prithvi element is there. So the atmosphere over there is very much transcending. But the majorly what happened is that I did a lot of all my life I've done meditations, different type of meditation. I've been doing this from a very long time. What I experienced was that when you go in a temple and sit and then you meditate, your experience of meditation can go 5 times, 10 times, maybe 100. If you are doing meditation at your home, even in your sadhana room, and then you are going doing meditation in temple, specifically if the temple is very old, 200, 400 years old. So the you instantly go into that meditative state. So this is how I got connected with uh, temples, and then I experienced this in different temples. When you meditate in different temples, your experience is different. So what is the science behind it? So that was my subject of curiosity. I'm still working on it. I'm researching. So maybe after some time we will work on the book. As of now, it is all self-help books.
I think fascinating now that you bring collective consciousness, bring um, all five elements, panchendriyas, and the way we look at it. Yeah, I think there is also a fascination on how the temple is also built, right? So Garbhagudi, where is the Garbhagudi, where is the Prangana, where we sit. Uh,
Exactly.
Whereas I think the point when you made about bells and all that, a lot of things, like There's also research on the sounds that the bell is making.
Yeah.
And it's also going and hitting constantly on the rock. So there's a lot of energy imbibing, energy exchange that's happening. And different places, like you said, have different energy bands that are there. And some of them, people who are meditating, have told me that you don't need to meditate inside the temple, even if you're in that particular
Very, very
vicinity of the temple. Also, if you're meditating, that energy comes to you.
true,
And
true.
almost all, fascinating temples are either on the river edge or on a mountain. So all of your
Yeah,
patterns are on that. So there's specificity as to why it's being done. I think Devi temples are near, are on the
rock
cross. Yeah, they're
mark.
at the confluence of rivers sometimes, or on a hill. So there is a specificity to all of that elements. All elements, like you say, coexist at that place. Wow. So we
Yeah,
started with coaching. We moved to temples, gone across multiple structures, and also I think I was also curious, saying I've never done hatha yoga. For me, it's only a term I've heard. So if you were to explain it to me as a like a new person who's never done it, what is it?
great, great. Very, very, very good question. Sorry. So, uh, Hatha Yoga, the word ha is made of two words, ha and tha. So, it is said in the classical text, ha stands for sun, ha stands for moon. Okay. And so, Hatha Yoga is balance of sun and the moon in our life. So there is many different aspects to it. So your right nadi is called as Surya nadi, left nadi is called as Luna nadi. In many ways, it is balancing of both the nadis. Heart also means is that very strongly willed. Okay, so heart yogis are generally very strongly willed. It is believed. Now the heart yoga, the discipline of the heart yoga, is thousands of years old back. Okay, but the term heart yoga came into limelight after Baba Goraknath. So historically, it is believed that the founder of the Hatha Yoga is Baba Goraknath, and the founder of the Kashmiri Yoga or Kashmiri Shaivism, or we can say Tantra Yoga, is the Guru of Baba Goraknath, that is Baba Matsyendranath. Okay, so these are two different schools, but they both complement each other. So in my experience, in my research, I found this that the Tantra Yoga, they through mind they try to control their body and their energies. Hard yoga is through their body try to control their mind and their energies. Now, hard yoga is basically famous for physical postures, breathing exercises. But yes, there is that. But why it is that? It is a specific tool. The yogasanas are specific tools. The breathing exercise are specific tools. So why we employ these tools is to get to become in charge of our life. So this quote, Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, it means is many people interpret this as uh, there is entire universe in this body. Just like there is in universe outside, there is also universe on the inside. But that doesn't the quote says because then it would be Yatha Brahmande Tatha Pinde. But it is
Hmm.
Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande, which means the whatever you have in this pind, that is your body and mind, is there in the universe. If we have to decode it, it is like whatever we have in this body and mind is expressed in sansar, in our life. So whatever life we are having is an expression of what is happening on the inside.
Hmm.
Yatha pinde tatha brahman. So there are n number of things happening outside in the universe, but only small part of it come as vyak to us that we are aware about. And another part is avyak that we don't know. What things we will know is determined by what we have kept in this paint. So if there are a lot of challenges, negativity in our life, and because we have uh, created the negativity here. That is why there is so called negativity in the life. If we can change this, then the outside can also be changed. So Hatha Yoga is basically taking charge of your life by taking charge of your body, then taking charge of your energies, that is prana, and then taking charge of your state of mind. So whenever you think of taking Hatha Yoga lessons, you always keep this in mind, and then universe will definitely guide you. Ishtadev will definitely guide you.
So very, very interesting. And you're talking about what what's happening inside is actually a reflection of what's happening on the outside. So uh, because I subscribe to it because I what I basically term this is called internal storytelling. So whatever
Hmm.
is the story we're telling inside is a story that's actually manifesting outside. So if you're saying, "Oh,
Yes,
that's a good thing that's happening," then the entire body is looking at it as a good thing, and our processing, our storing, our memory, everything is basically saying, "Hey, it's a good aspect that's happened." And if we saying, "Oh, that's not something that should have happened," and it has happened, so however we choose to store it is how it manifests. Sometimes even if you don't like the person, but they are doing good things, you'll still not like it.
hmm, true.
So fascinating, the whole aspect of what our worlds are, what our universes are inside. Uh, to even look at it as to how even if you're talking, there are so many things that are running in parallel to actually make it happen. So even looking at it and sitting on the internal body is such a beautiful meditation.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Hmm. So I think we should have, so I'll put this as a, a philosophical podcast than a podcast about coaching,
True,
because
true.
that's what's emerging. Because we've started with topics around, coaching, then we got into Ishtadev, we got into stories of Hanuman, we got into stories of Hatha Yoga temples. So it's been a fascinating this thing. So we said we will close at 5:30. It's almost 5:45. Uh,
Okay.
you know, we've carried a lot of very interesting stories. But is there anything else as a story or an anecdote, anything that's now coming to you because you've shared so much before we close? Anything that you would like to share?
One thing I would like to say is that self development is a lifelong journey.
True.
So, from the moment a child is born till he or she dies, change is happening. Now, it can either happen consciously or it can happen either unconsciously. So change is anyway going to happen. Uh, Now you can take charge of that change and convert it into a self improvement, self development process, a life coaching process, and you can make your life the way you want, life the way you design, or it is anyway going to happen, but it won't be in your hand, and it might not turn out what you want. So it
True,
is better to take charge.
true, true, true. I think also it's very simply because you also said the whole aspect of what's internal is what's manifesting. So if the internal is your home, make sure you're keeping your home clean, and
Exactly,
you like coming back home, because if not, something else will come there.
exactly, exactly.
Wow, so it's been a fascinating conversation with you, Sahil, and I'm sure there are more episodes with you because I've been
Oh, great.
fascinated by your research around the ancient elements, the whole Hatha Yoga. I think you opened up a lot of conversational structures because of this. So I'm hoping that life brings us back on multiple such episodes. But for
I
today,
look forward
we'd
to it.
like to pass. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a
And I
pleasure
enjoyed
meeting
a
you.
lot. I enjoyed a lot. The questions were
Same here, sir.
wonderful. And this is the benefit of doing a podcast with a life coach.
Yes, so you
Yes.
don't have to worry about what questions, where is it coming from. It
Yeah,
it
exactly.
will come. It will come. So, pleasure, absolute pleasure talking to you. And I think this podcast is meant to be even after a lot of time changes. It's happened. We met thanks to Navratan. I met Navratan thanks to another networking meeting. So it's sometimes the universe brings people together and a lot of magic can happen. So
So we just
that's
have to
it for today.
and move on to the next step.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. And about also a lot of my own thoughts. If you touched upon, I am also buzzing with a lot of very interesting stuff to share. So, but for today's official podcast, I think this is a place where we pause. Thank you for your time and all the best for your third book. And also share the links of your first two. I'll place that in the description of this particular episode. Yes.
Sure, I
So
will do that.
thank you. Superb. So that's it for today's episode. So listeners and viewers, we'll be back with another series and another set of people all through November and December while we close the new year. I hope you were inspired by these stories that Sahil and I have co-created in this 1 hour episode. Thank you so much. And that's it.